Okita Souji vs Susanoo has begun, and already in the first chapter, we got hype setting them up as two of the strongest characters in the entire series. Let's begin with the already confirmed absolute mad lad Susanoo. During his walkout, we get it confirmed that he's the greatest sword god in the heavens, which is as expected as he's pretty much the only one who uses a sword apart from one of Buddha's transformations. Then we get pretty much the main lore drop about him, which is one of the most hyped we've gotten in the entire series. It first talks about his battle against the legendary serpent Orochi, where he was able to chop off all 8 heads with this particular sword, and is seen as the moment in which swordsmanship was actually created. However, there's more. From the tail of Orochi, a sacred treasure appeared, a new sword. Not gonna even bother saying its name, but it's most likely the one he's carrying on his back. And then he used this sword to become known as the strongest god slayer. Does that mean he's technically already above the likes of Poseidon? Something interesting to consider, as technically Poseidon didn't kill Adamas. However, most people in the Ragnarok world believe he did, so who knows. Poseidon was also known as a god slayer, while Susanoo is known as the strongest god slayer. But what god did he slay? Well, let me tell you, it was not one, it was multiple. It's claimed here that he cut down the evil gods of Takamagara, which is pretty much the name of the place the Japanese-based mythology gods like to chill, with him killing all the evil ones. We don't get it claimed of the exact gods he killed. You could probably find out if you look into Susanoo's mythology and ones he had fights with. Hopefully that may be explored in the future. However, doing this is what pretty much resulted in him being known as the sword god, feared as the wild god, due to his killing of others, which is pretty wild and doesn't really get shown in his personality that we've seen so far, giving the vibe of very chilled and laid back, not this rampaging beast. So perhaps when he gets more serious and is maybe pushed in a fight, or when he unleashes this secret weapon, that's where we get to see a different side of Susanoo, which I'm personally very excited for. Apart from that, we've got a few more things about Susanoo. The arena they're fighting in during round 10 was actually requested by him due to reasons I'll break down shortly. However, the modifications to the arena also take into account what happened at the end of round 9, Apollo vs Leonidas, where pretty much Apollo used his weapon and was so strong it was actually piercing through the arena and almost killed some of the people watching, resulting in them needing to make a few more changes, perhaps foreshadowing some wild stuff is actually going to occur during this fight to protect the spectators. Who knows, I think that is a cool touch from the authors in this chapter. But the other things we need to talk about is of course humanity's fighter, Okita Souji, who may have gotten even more hype compared to Susanoo, which reading his lore drop you wouldn't really expect, but let's go over it. In short, it's describing who's worthy of the title as the strongest manslayer of this particular era, going over a few possibilities, with it being revealed that Okita was in fact the strongest during that time, feared by every warrior as an absolute demon, being worthy to have the title as history's strongest manslayer. So the strongest manslayer versus the strongest godslayer is, I guess, confirmed for a second time, which is also why Susanoo wants to fight Okita, due to him being the strongest at using the swordsmanship that he pretty much created, which could be used that when it comes to skill, Okita Souji is above the likes of Sasaki Kodro. However, we don't get any exact confirmation, at least in this chapter. Maybe in the future fight when Sasaki says something about their exchanges and Okita's, I guess, superior skill. And I don't think that will particularly be a bad thing. Sasaki Kodro, while being incredibly skilled with his blade, as demonstrated in his fight, and even in his flashback against all the people he was able to defeat after losing, improving after death, but the most, I guess, overpowered aspect of Sasaki in Record of Ragnarok is his prediction ability, not his swordsmanship mastery or skill per se. Something else to also consider once we get to see all the Shinsengumi captains talking to one another is that during the time Okita was alive, he was still regarded as the strongest, and that was while not really having a healthy body or reaching his peak power, which he's most likely going to demonstrate during this fight, having this healthy body, having the drive and want to pretty much go all out in a fight for the first time, meaning Okita Souji was regarded as the strongest while being, I guess, suppressed to a degree, meaning his, rise and demonstration of strength will be far beyond anyone really knows about him thus far, which I'm personally excited for. And this could even be enhanced to a further degree via the use of his Valkyrie and the Volume. We don't get any mention or see his Valkyrie in this chapter. I'm guessing it's sword, I don't see why it wouldn't be, but I hope it has, I guess, a more unique aspect, not just being the sword itself. For Sasaki as an example, his Volume had pretty much the two personalities, meaning he could fuse the sword into two. I'm hoping Okita has something more wild which is going to enhance him and make this fight even more interesting. However, one thing I do believe is that Susanoo isn't going to fully unsheath his weapon in, I guess, the first 1 or 2 chapters of the fight. He's going to be using it and clashing with Okita, but I don't think he's going to fully unleash it until the later parts. I think this will be more so his transformation, unleashing his full power, and I guess allowing the insanity of the sword to pretty much connect with him, similar to what we kind of see when he picked it up for the first time in the lore drop, how he turned into this pretty much god-slaying demon, representing Susanoo's power up later in the fight. But still, it's most likely going to be Okita's win due to humanity now being on the losing side. They get defeated 2 more times and it's over, meaning they pretty much have to win. However, I'm still hoping it's going to be a draw, but we'll have to wait and see. Something we didn't get to see in this month's chapter is an update on the whole, insanity, primordial god, Aki, Odin, Beelzebub and Buddha stuff. Hopefully in the next run. This was a shorter chapter compared to regular, so perhaps next month they're preparing a longer one to, highlight the fight between Okita and Susanoo and show what's going on with all of that. Something that could pretty much disrupt all of Ragnarok for what we know it. But when it comes to the fight itself around 10, I'm excited. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Okita, I think the fight itself will make me a fan, and I do like his aura in his eyes every time he does it. It's quite simple, but does make him seem fairly badass. Also seeing the Shinsengumi, their conversations throughout is going to be pretty cool. And of course, if you need chapter links, consider joining the Discord. They're posting there the second they come out. Also shout out to this mad lad, the translator or translator group who released this chapter so fast. Absolute mad lads. Alongside the true absolute mad lads, the members. But that's it guys. Peace.